Okay, I got a fun one for you guys today. So this is when being oversubscribed in your practice isn't really a good thing. Okay, so I have a physical therapy practice owner. They have 3 providers. They're trying to hire another provider, right? Because that's obvious when you're oversubscribed. Like, are they trying to hire? It's like, yes, they're trying to hire another physical therapist. They have 3 providers. They're doing roughly around 70-ish slots right now, and they have about 80% utilization or efficiency. Some weeks is up in like the 90, 92 mark. So they've been humming along for a while. Evals are bumping, getting a little bit difficult to get people in on the schedule, right? So they're kind of running out of spots. And then ultimately they messaged me because I put up a post and we were talking about, making sure that you're getting reviews and referrals and returns and so on and stuff, because this is what really, compounds your clinic. And, this individual, she messaged and she said, hey, we only got 1 word of mouth referral last week. And we only had 1 Google review in the past month. And I thought that was really interesting. So I said, well, let's dive in. Okay, so hi, my name is Dr. Robbie Woelkers. I'm one of the co-owners here at Rehab CEOs. Previously had 3 locations to scale to about $1.8 million before I sold my 50% shares back to my partner back in 2021. And then we now run Rehab CEOs, which is an 8-figure coaching and consulting business for physical therapists, with also hiring, marketing, and staff training included. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to break down why this clinic feels like they're winning and losing at the same time. It's a weird little thing, okay? So here's this practice owner. She's got 3 providers, including herself. She's got 70 slots. They have 126 active patients, and they have 14 evals, 88% clinic efficiency. The problem is, though, is they're only getting about 1 referral. They've only had like 1 review in the past couple of months, right? So starting to get a little concerned here because yes, some of their front end stuff, their website, their SEO, some of their Facebook stuff is really popping off, but it's just like, we're not getting that proof that we really need specifically during some of our lighter seasons, not really our busy season, in order to carry us through that. So let's kind of dive in. So here's a practice owner. Again, 3 providers, 70 slots, 126 active patients. Why does that matter? Well, if you take 3 times 70, we have 210 slots. Ideally, we like most of our patients coming in twice a week. So realistically, they only need about 105 active patients in order to fill their schedule, right? This individual here, and by the way, we already checked this. We did active patient reporting. We want to make sure that this number was accurate. They actually do have 126 active patients, right? In a previous video, we kind of cleaned it up a little bit, figured out that was the problem. But this is a clinic owner that's dialed in. She knows exactly her number. She's like, we have 126 active patients, right? So this person is 20 patients to the good, and their main constraint right now is they are trying to hire, which is great, right? So they're trying to hire right now and get that 4th provider into the clinic, and then eventually you try to get the owner out of treatment, which is great. But the problem is that like, although all this good stuff is happening, they're really not getting the reviews and the referrals. Now, which was interesting because I always ask like, well, what have you tried? And they're like, well, we've educated the team and, they're aware of it, but we're just not. Gotcha. Okay. Really, really simple. So, they trained, they're trying to get, but there's nothing, right? So what we want to look at here is, when do we get reviews and when do we get referrals and when do we get returns? And I think it's really important when you're looking at the patient journey, specifically the active patient journey. We're going to go evaluation, right? The next milestone here is going to be the progress note, right? Which, by the way, is, visit number 10, right? Because that's what Medicare has it down for. Visit number 10 is the progress note. And then ultimately, you could do another progress note, but let's just pretend we get them to graduation, right? Or discharge, if you will. Okay. So those are like our 3 big milestones. Now, granted, when it comes to reviews, most individuals will leave a review either when they have like a win, right? So they get out of pain, or, they're able to get back to, to do something that they weren't before, or they hit like a milestone, or they hit the end of their plan of care, right? So we find that most individuals are like, well, it's kind of too early to leave your review. I know I'm getting some wins here, but let me finish my plan of care and then right? So we know that most individuals want to get a result first, and then they will leave a review, which is really, it makes sense, right? Though, hey, let me get better first, and then I'll leave you a review. Also, we have noticed that individuals are like, hey, you take care of me first, and then I will refer people to you. Okay. Very rarely do they kind of, like some do, some patients do, but the majority, hey, let me get better first and then I can refer. And then you definitely don't get any returns until after someone completes their plan of care. The problem wasn't necessarily that they weren't getting people results, right? And they weren't good. Here's the problem, okay? Going back to our numbers. And this is something that hopefully you guys will be able to see. So here's a clinic owner, right? 3 providers, 70 slots, 126 active patients. Okay, so really, really key. Let's hone in on that number. So they have 210 slots. Okay, so they have 210 slots on their schedule. And ultimately, what's happening is they have 126, okay, active patients. So what we were looking at here with this specific client is, and I'm going to pull up my calculator here for you guys, is when you take 126, and if you were to multiply it by 2, right, they have like 252 slots is what they have enough active patients to be able to see. This person, right, right, only has 210. So it's just like there's like 42 slots here that we can't schedule because we don't have any room for them. So this is the problem when you become oversubscribed, right? So what's happening here is now if you take let's do 210 and divide it by 126, right? Now what's starting to happen is our average visit per patient, okay, is starting to go down to about 1.6, right? We want to be up here at 2, but we're down at 1.6. Then what happens is when we start to see it get down to like a 1.2, that's where we start to see massive drop off on the schedule. So this practice owner didn't realize that because they were oversubscribed in full, is that people weren't able to book out their visits and people weren't able to get to graduation because once they get better, they were falling off the schedule before they even got to a progress number or graduation. How do we know this? Because their length of stay used to be 14, 15, and now their length of stay is down to 9. So they 50% or greater of their patients are dropping off before the progress note. Interesting. Okay. So when you're getting oversubscribed, it seems like a really awesome thing. But what happens is there's these other factors that start to come into play. There's this weird window that we're not getting people to graduation. So we're going to stop getting reviews, referrals, and returns, which, by the way, in about 3-6 months from now, you're going to start to see your schedule dip because of this. Also, what's going to happen here is you're struggling to put new patients on the schedule because you're putting routines on instead of evals. So we want to make sure that we put something like reserved for eval spots on the schedule in order for you guys to still get the evals coming in to match your churn, but still fulfill on the routine visits, right? So that's why we say typically for each provider, you want about 4 or 5 evals per provider once you're full, still coming in. So this person had 3, soon to be 4. So I would like them to be at about 12 to 16 evals a week, even though they're still full, because every 9 visits, as you just saw, someone's falling off the schedule. Okay. So ultimately what this individual had to do is they wanted to make sure they went back, tracked all of their active patients, figure out where they were dropping off, making sure they were booking out their appointments to either the progress note or graduation. And the patients were actually like in a tier 2 or tier 3 or 4 in their progression: pain, prime, prevent, perform. Like if they're in the perform and prevent here, we started to move them along and get them discharged. Because remember, they were at about, what was the number on that? Yeah, they only need about 105 and they were oversubscribed by about 20. So we wanted to at least discharge in about 10 to 15 patients that were good to go. Those 10 to 15 patients, we then asked them for a review. We then prep them with like, this is how you refer and this is how to return. And then from that, they were able to get 9 more Google reviews from that process, which is, not a ton, but it's still like proof that like, this is where your constraint is. Okay. So before we wrap up, why does this matter? Okay. Because what typically happens, there's 2 systems working in your business. There's going to be quick win marketing, and then there's going to be reputation marketing. And if you have like your reach, right? So this is all the stuff like, that you're running Facebook ads, you're running workshops, so on and so forth. Like you will get a win, and then eventually it kind of trickles out. And then you got to run another campaign and then it trickles out. But if you could get results, referrals, reviews, and returns, this will start to compound. And then eventually what happens is there's this cool little inflection point over time, right? This is time horizon, right? There's this inflection point where your reputation marketing will succeed your reach, and you don't really have to worry about running paid advertisement in your business ever again, right? However, if you don't have that reputation stuff happening because people are falling off before they get in, it becomes a problem. So everybody wants fully booked. Everybody wants to be waitlisted, right? Everybody wants that. But you also need to understand that like once you become oversubscribed, it's not necessarily a good thing either, especially if you're still waiting to hire that next person. So if you guys want to learn more about our fully booked and waitlisted system and becoming oversubscribed, we do have a workshop coming up. Click on the link below. Register for that. We'll save you a seat and we'll see you over there. But hopefully this resonated with you guys to make sure that you understand what you're looking for, that if you start to get full, you start to get oversubscribed, but you're not getting reviews, referrals, and returns, this is typically the reason why. Okay? Hopefully that helped you guys. See you on the next one.